and wonderfully. He is a beautiful man and one of my favorite people on the planet.
Aww.
Way back when, almost as soon as I got on the internet and I was researching the blood, I discovered Free Minds. And back then, it was definitely just that's all there was. There was just Free Minds, and I wasn't aware of any other websites that were critical of the Watchtower. And it was for the time, it was just the most comprehensive, and you could just look up almost any topic, I think.
Mm-hmm. Revolutionary. And Thank you, Randy Waters.
He put his home phone number right on the website. I mean, anybody could pick up the phone anytime they want and call the guy.
Amazing.
And so one day I pick up the phone, probably in 2001. It probably was right after 9/11, and I just moved to Long Beach because I remember I might have called him sooner than that and spoken to him, but I really remember this one particular time I was just feeling lost and confused and conflicted, and having those old cult personalities and thoughts come creeping back in. It's hard to keep those guys at bay, those demons. They come back and haunt me on a daily basis, today, and it's hard to slay those demons. But I picked up the phone and I called the number, and I wasn't sure what sort of monster was going to answer, but Randy, picked up the phone. This is Randy, and I just told him my name and let him know who was, and it turned out that he, actually when I was a little kid, I was born in Canoga Park, and the first congregation I ever went to was Winnetka congregation in the Valley.
I love Canoga Park.
Yeah, and we used to actually go to the Woodland Hills Assembly Hall for our book study. Our book study was in the library there.
Oh my goodness!
But but Randy was also from that area for a while, and apparently he knew people that I remember as a kid, and he knew of my brothers and all that stuff. And he was, of course, at Bethel, and so we had a lot to talk about at Bethel. For our Bethel experiences, and we just, had long conversations and laughs about Bethel, and he was very, he pointed me in the right directions. He told me what stuff to read. He helped me deal with the guilt, the shame, or whatever, and he helped me feel a little bit more comfortable not believing in the Jehovah's Witness religion, you know what I mean? Feeling that, you feel, when you let your mother down, your mother, right? That's another half of my heart, It doesn't matter what you do. If you're even in the right, it doesn't matter. When you let your mom down, it never feels right, So I get why Prince and all these other people become witnesses, because of their mothers. I get that. And the mother, my first heartbeat was my mother's heartbeat, and how could I ever feel good about hurting her so much as it did that when I left the organization.
You're preaching to the choir, my friend. I tell you what, my mom, I miss her every day. What a lovely lady. Yep.
So anyway, so that was Randy, and he helped me a lot. Talking to him and whatnot, and he would a few times he invited me different places where we would meet up with other ex-JWs, like you'd like to meet at the Daily Grill or something over there in Manhattan Beach. And anyway, so it was cool, and it made me feel important to be around these other people, and 2011, I believe that was the year, I had been, since I had been laid off from LAUSD, I was spending a lot of time online just looking for jobs and looking for stuff to do. And the blood issue was always a big deal to me. And I had tried to contact this Lee Elder guy a number of times. I wanted to do some volunteer work for AJWRB. You know, it looked like it was a big organization. You know, the way they talked about themselves, right? Like there's this massive network out there, and we're
right. Yes, that's like Julian Assange in that WikiLeaks movie talking about how we have hundreds of volunteers and it's him and one other guy.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I sure as hell was alone.
Oh yeah, Julian's flying all over the world, meeting with whistleblowers and world leaders, and telling them that he has hundreds of volunteers.
All right.
Sorry, go on.
Get other people to raise their hand and claim they're a volunteer. So yeah, I would email and try to call the contact information on AJWRB, and none of it was good. You know, the numbers went nowhere, the emails went unanswered, and so I'm like, you know, I'm going to call Randy Waters and see what the hell's up with this AJWRB stuff. What's the deal? So I call Randy, and I ask him about AJWRB, and I tell him I want to volunteer on the blood issue. To me, that's the one issue that I want to do more than anything. So he actually does know exactly who Lee Elder was. So he literally picks up the phone and calls this Lee Elder guy and find out what the deal is, and they make a deal as a result of that, and Randy ends up buying AJWRB, website and domain name and all that stuff. And he's talking to me at the same time about, being one of the ones. I didn't know I was going to be practically the only one working on it that was, doing so. I told him my ideas about it, what I would like to see AJWRB doing. And I told him about, having blood drives and collecting blood for Jehovah's Witnesses.
Oh, I loved that idea of having a blood mobile pull up that say they're collecting fractions for Jehovah's Witnesses, or Jehovah's Witnesses are donating fractions. I thought that was brilliant. That was your idea?
It still should exist. I mean, it should be out there. We should do this.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And look, did you know that AAWA, AAWA.co has taken over AJWRB, and that is something that we need to recommend to John Hoyle and Richard Kelly and all the other cool movers and shakers of AWA.
I mean, absolutely. I would love to get back involved in that part too. I certainly can. Pick up where I left off. So anyway, Randy likes my ideas and the pictures I painted for what I thought AJWRB should be and should be doing. And so he, I told him my financial situation is desperate. I'm like living on $700 a month, and my rent alone is $850, and I really need a job. And he's like, well, I can't pay you. I can only help you out here and there, and we'll see if we can get some donations coming in on the issue. And so just on that kind of agreement, we met several times. We just started doing this, and he Randy walked me through the process of making a website and how to, we did the whole thing together. We took the old website, and I re-authored a lot of articles because a lot of the stuff that was written was signed Lee Elder, and I had a problem with that because if we're going to be doing something scientific and journalistically upfront and credible, we cannot use aliases. I was very
wait. Hold on. You're blowing my mind again. All right, this is the fourth time. So you're saying that stuff on AJWRB that was supposed to be legitimate was said signed by Lee Elder, which is an obvious pseudonym for Randy.
It is. Well, it's not a pseudonym for Randy Waters. It's a pseudonym for a guy named Randy. That is true, but I can't even think of his last name.
Wait. Okay, wait. You're talking about a different Randy, the guy that originally started the website?
I don't know if he was the original starter of the website.
But he's a stealth. Okay, so he's a stealth witness. He has to protect his anonymity.
I don't know. He is a baptized witness. I don't know whether he still attends meetings or not. I don't know all the details. I don't really know why he goes to opt. To be honest with you, I'm certain that he is not he's not an attending witness. Nobody in the area where he lives, all of the witnesses, nobody thinks that he's a witness. Nobody does.
All right, but okay, but the point is you were seeing these things, and you went to Randy and said, "Look, this is we can't use him as a source." And your journalistic, your college training is kicking in now, right?
Yeah. So I decided that every article and everything has to be signed by an actual person, and since nobody was around to do all that freaking work, I ended up rewriting all these articles. The goal was to rewrite all of them, and if nobody else was going to stand up and help me rewrite them, then my name was going to be on every damn article. I didn't care. It wasn't, about getting glory for the article. It was about having a real live beating heart behind the words.
Again, for ethics and for journalistic honesty and credibility, you're doing it. This is ironic to me because remember the old Theocratic Ministry School guidebook? The one before the one they use now. It actually says, "When in doubt, leave it out." Do you remember that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. If you can't verify it, then don't mention it in a talk. When in doubt, leave it out. So, yeah, it would be lovely if they'd follow that advice today. So you're trying to follow that advice, and how did that go over okay? I mean, you made a lot of strides with the site while you were working on it.
Well, Randy Waters was totally on board with everything I was doing. The other Randy who was taking up this Lee Elder pseudonym didn't like me and him kind of didn't see eye to eye on everything, but Randy Waters was like, "Well, hey dude, I'm sorry you sold it to us, and I'm giving everything to Zen to do. So, if he wants to change something, then he's going to change it. If he's going to put his name on it or somebody else's name on it, he's going to do it, and I'm going to support it." And so Randy Waters was like right there.
Good for him.
Waters only kind of he would only advise me on, okay, well, you don't want to make an enemy of this other Randy dude. Because he's got an ego, he's got, some dogs in the fight, and he has done a lot on the website, and he's out there, pace. So I actually had, there was a section on the website for a while that I would take from this guy's blog,
I remember that. Almost like a deep throat, like an anonymous source.
So, yeah, he was very prolific is the thing, and we could not alienate him because his contribution was just too large, and I am just not, I'm not that kind of worker anymore. Okay, I can't put out his level of stuff. I couldn't compete with that. So we had to keep him plugged into and involved on a certain level, even if he didn't like some of the changes that I was asking for. And I was trying to obliterate and erase the name Lee Elder from the site. I did not want a fake name on the website because, if you're a doctor, imagine a doctor writing an article for the New England Journal of Medicine under a pseudonym called Mickey Mouse.
Oh, you totally got me. And you know what's killing me here, Zen? I'm going to call you Zen again right now. What's killing me is that you're investing all this time and energy and intelligence to this project, and you're getting paid what? $300, $500? What?
Randy always gave me as much as he could, and the donations were just scant to nothing, except for with one major exception. Well, yeah, one major exception. There was this one guy from England who sent me $1,500 and Randy $1,500.
Whoa!
I owed much money to Randy, but most of the money went back to Randy.
Oh my gosh!
It didn't matter.
You know what? You are like the classic nice guy finishes last story.
Stop it already, man, because I don't want to finish last, man.
No, but that means that people root for you. You have all kinds of people rooting for you because you're such a nice guy.
I would like to hear more of the rooting, but
you will, my friend.
Yeah, that was, but it was, I gotta say though, that working with Randy was one of the greatest privileges of my life, and even if it ended bad, and even right now, like, I've made a lot of overtures towards, not a lot, but a few overtures towards him to try to mend it, and I'm sure we'll eventually start talking again. But
of course you will.
It was a beautiful, beautiful time. He's an amazing person. I sort of had, to me, I was like a fan of his. Imagine working for your rock star hero, and getting a job working for them. That's what it was like working with Randy. So it's almost like it made it a little bit difficult at times to act normal around him, because I'm realizing that he's this, in the XJW world, there's Ray Franz, and then there's Randy Waters.
Well, look. If I may draw an analogy, it's like being Ozzy Osbourne's personal assistant.
Yeah, sure. I would say Jeff Lynne's personal assistant. That would mean more to me.
Okay.
It was, and of course, thus saith the governing body actually was my very first purchase in terms of an XJW book.
You know what? I want to get my hands on that. I want to get my hands on that.
It's actually, he doesn't hardly say anything. All Randy did in that book was collect a bunch of watchtowers and quotes and make comments on them. Really brief comments, some of them sarcastic and funny. But when you go from page to page with it like that, by the time you get to the end, you're not going to be a witness anymore if you're a witness when you start that book. You're gone if you read that book, thus saith. And you start to see, that book made me really able to read a Watchtower and see what they're really saying. And it's horrifying, actually, and it's scary, because you're like, oh my God, I've been submitted to this stuff since I was a fetus. Oh my God. And it's like, it makes my flesh crawl now to, think about all those almost like hidden messages, that they were putting in the paragraphs. And
I see. And again, fascinating. So you're working for Randy. You're trying to improve the website. You know, you're getting donations here and there, and Randy gives you what he can. You obviously have a high opinion of him. You looked up to him. He taught you tat. He helped you to clean out the Watchtower cobwebs from your mind. And then all of a sudden, this English guy gives you $1,500 and him $1,500, but Randy gets most of it back because he had advanced you and you owed him. And so you're trying to make headway in the website, and then you made a reference to how things went wrong. I mean, if you feel comfortable talking about it, what went wrong?
It was, it was money that, I sure as hell could have used, but that was that. And there was a little bit of dispute over that issue, and that was something that I would bring up later to him that I was unhappy about, and that was, that played into part of, us having a fallout. But I mean, the whole fallout me and Randy had was over a couple $100. It was really over money because he felt that I wasn't putting enough new daily posts on the website, and he was helping me out financially, and he wasn't getting enough bang for his buck, so to speak. And there was also he gave me a PayPal credit card for certain expenses, and I'm, like I said, I was getting by on $700 a month that I get from the government at the time, and my rent alone was like $850. So I mean, there's quite a large, and my cat got sick too. My cat was on the verge of death. I was desperate to save my cat. Randy kicked in for that. That was actually earlier, though. Helped save my cat.
What was wrong with the cat?
She was very old, but also she had like feline thyroid disease and high blood pressure and a few problems, and she did actually die in 2012, like a year later. Unfortunately, that was Chelsea, my 16-year-old cat.
Well, yeah. So Randy actually helped you pay for
from the time I got back from Bethel in '96 to 2012.
Oh, that is precious.
My cat the whole time. She was a tiny little baby when I got her.
Yeah. Well, that's she's not gone if we still remember her. So Randy actually helped you pay the vet bills. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So anyway, but he gave me a card that I was supposed to use for expenses, and I asked him, I'm like, if I'm out working on the website, at a coffee shop online, can I get something to eat or drink? And he's like, yeah, but like, be careful. So I started doing that kind of regularly, like eating, because I was hungry and I was freaking broke. And I was just like, and I really was, the whole time I worked on AJWRB, the whole time I was on the verge of getting evicted. Every month I wasn't quite able to make my rent. The amount of rent that I owed by the time I was evicted in January of 2013, I had like 2 months rent behind, and I wasn't going to be able to come up with the next one, and so I was evicted in 2013, exactly as I predicted. I mean, I was really reaching out to a lot of people at that time. Anybody I could for help. I was looking for work. I was trying to work, for cash, doing this and that. I just somehow believed that somebody out there would feel strong enough about the blood issue to help me out and give me some money so I could keep doing it. And but when me and Randy had that falling out, probably in October, I think, of 2012 is when we fell out, and so that ended Randy's help. So October, November, December, January, within 3 months,
Okay, look, I got to interject again. You're blowing my mind yet again. This is unreal. So you're involved in the activism and you are making a difference and you're working your brains out and you're trying to keep AJWRB going, and then you end up you get behind on your rent, you get evicted, you become homeless. I mean, I'm hoping you're living in your car or something at this point. And
No, I literally was living on the sidewalk with a dog. Sidewalk. I found various places to live, mostly illegally. And you learn when you're homeless that the cops start paying attention to you a little bit more and start hassling you for this and that and the other. And I had, fortunately, a church, that First Friends of Long Beach, that let me stay in like a crawl space for quite a while. Let my dog stay in the crawl space underneath the church during the day, so I could go out and either look for work or go to work or whatever I had to do. Because obviously, if you don't have a home and you have a dog, that's a big deal. That's a big. And at any point from January of 2013 to right this moment, I mean, the pressure on me to get rid of my dog was enormous the whole time. But I don't know. I got Honey Bear when she was just a teeny puppy, and I wasn't really planning on getting a pet, but friends of mine had this tiny little puppy, and they offered it to me. I paid $60 for it.
And you paid $60 and you named it Honey Bear? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And
okay, all right, that's fine. It's a free country.
Yeah. Well, if you saw her, you'd know what I was talking about. Actually, you could go on my Zen Galileo Facebook and you could see pictures of her. She's there.
Oh, I bet you there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are going to want to Facebook friend you after they hear this. I am not kidding you. I am not kidding you one little whit. You're going to have to make a Facebook page for Honey Bear.
I probably should.
You're going to have to soon.
Yeah. And actually, and another thing that happened while I'm homeless, right? Homeless and destitute and lonely, I actually decided to ask a woman out on a date. We started dating. We got engaged, and then just a few days ago, I got the news that we were broken up. So,
you're killing me, man. Wait.
Yeah.
So you meet a lady. And yeah, I mean, she may be troubled or have issues as well, but that's fine. You accept her, and you get engaged, and then you break up as soon as you move. You had to move across the country to find a place to live in Georgia, and then she breaks up with you. Like what? Did she text you?
Actually, I heard through her. She's at the Ann Douglas Center for Women at the LA Mission. It was an absolute disaster that only happened like a month and a half ago. I was on the street and she was in a sober living home, and then we decided, we pull our money together and resources, and we actually get into a nice little room in a house, and we start living together for a week. All right, and it was to me, it was a wonderful, beautiful week. I loved every minute of it. I was working with a contractor who was paying me cash, so it was nice. So I was making cash in addition to a small disability check, and then she decides to relapse, and the relapse for her was the most extreme kind of drunkenness and depravity imaginable, and she ends up getting both of us kicked out of our apartment, and so now it's like like 1 week into this is March 12th, basically. March 10th, something like that. I don't know, somewhere in there. And we're both homeless again, but now all our money is gone into that apartment, and the landlords are being assholes and not giving us any of the money back. And so we're on the street, and she's drunk, and I can't get her sober. I can't keep track of her. I'm walking around the streets following her. We don't have any place to sleep. We slept in a tent that somebody gave us a few nights, but every time I had to go away and do something and leave her alone, she just goes straight, I mean, within minutes, and just get drunk again, and she'd be lost. I wouldn't know where she's at. She's around town. She's getting into cars with strange guys and taking off and coming back an hour later wasted. And, it's just that kind of, it's like I knew she was an alcoholic when I started dating her. Obviously, she was we're living home.
So she was clean, and you were experiencing her true self, and she was a beautiful person, and that's why you fell in love. But then when she relapses, it's a different story.
Yeah, and she's half or a quarter Indian, like Iowa Indian is her tribe, and I think that's why she's just straight up allergic to alcohol, like it's poison. And it's like I've heard stories about Indians and like Eskimos and what alcohol does to them, and it turns them into just, like they have
different people
in Alaska where they're not allowed to even have alcohol in the city at all. So I don't know, but I felt like she was ripped from my life, and now she's in this year program, which I think that the message that I got from the chaplain was more from the chaplain, because this chaplain is like kind of hardcore about success, and she says that the chaplain tells me, well, Lisa's sworn off men, and I'm like, well, that's great, except for if she could like include just like one man who she's engaged to right now, that'd be nice. But,
well, and the chaplain's sworn off all men and all women too, so I guess it works out good for him.
Yeah, well, it's a female chaplain.
Oh, excuse me. All right, so maybe she has. So maybe she has a grudge against men.
It's just for women. But I don't know. So that happened recently, and I feel like it was just like this bomb that exploded, and I'm just like this piece of shrapnel, and I ended up in Macon, Georgia for all, And the story of why I'm in Macon, Georgia, is, there's other places in the States that have cheap rent. But I was just a month ago on the street, I didn't know what else to do but turn to family. And the thing is that I am not in touch with any family. I don't even know, like my parents still have my number blocked. So I literally got a pastor at the Friends Church in Long Beach, bought me a ticket to Georgia. All right, I fly to Atlanta, and I don't have anywhere to stay or anybody or any numbers or anything, right?
The order is rapidly fading, for the times they are a-changing.